Hi, Sip and Thinkers. How are you? I hope this is working. I'm Sherry. Sip and Think with Sherry on a Friday night, TGIF. I apologize for not getting on here last night when I got out of work. Um, I had a networking social, and then early this morning, I hosted a professional holiday breakfast. So it's been kind of busy. Anyways, I can go on and tell you about other things that happened prior to me getting to the social event, um, which is kind of funny, but it's kind of not. However, I'm going to try to do the best that I can tonight. My brother in law is here. If you had watched one of my previous videos, Why is Stuff Breaking? My headlight has been fixed. However, yesterday my battery went dead, and right as I was leaving the office to go to the social hour, I was like, "Oh my god, what do I do?" So I had called my husband, and he was like, "Stay there. I'll be there in 5 minutes." And he showed up, and the weird thing was is I couldn't get the key out of the ignition either. And I'm like, "Oh my god, like, only me," right? So then this morning, I get into the office and everyone's like, "Are you okay? Is everything all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine." And I said, "It's just operator error as to why the battery went dead because I left the lights on when I was trying to keep the lights off because I had a padiddle." If you don't know what a padiddle is where you have one headlight that works and the other one that doesn't. And now with the sun going down so early, I get nervous of being followed by a cop. So, anyways, then they say to me, "Well, I think something happened to your muffler because it's like hanging." And I was like, what's weird? In the last couple of days, I noticed that it was a little bit louder. So I texted my husband and was like, "Listen, something's wrong with the muffler now. Like, I don't know, it's hanging. I'll call you when I leave the office to let you know when I'm leaving, just so I can get home okay." Next thing I know, I get a call from my concierge and they're like, "Hey, just want to let you know your husband's here." I'm like, "Oh my God, I hope everything is okay." And I show up to the lobby and he's like, "Here, take my car. I'm going to take your car home." And he already contacted his brothers who are mechanics. And by the time I got home tonight, the headlight has now been fixed. However, the muffler, when they were looking at it, it rotted on one side. So now I got to wait for the part to come in on Tuesday. But that's just a little bit about what I have been doing for the last 24 hours and dealing with. Other than in my previous video, we were talking about why stuff is breaking, and it just basically meant others were trying to attack me unfairly, right? Well, in the meantime, the oven handle has been fixed. So, as fast as it happens is as fast as it gets fixed. So, for tonight's topic, and like I said, I'm going to try to do the best that I can, but my brother in law is here and I don't know if he's going to disturb us at all. So, I just wanted you to be aware of what was going on. And it might be a little hard for me to concentrate because I know he's here and that he might walk in at any minute. So, the topic I chose tonight was, what are the top 5 tough topics to discuss with humans? So, when I did my research, the top 5 are divorce, illness, death, sex, and natural disasters. So, of course, I said to myself, well, why are those the top 5 toughest topics? So, with divorce, it's because you have to manage your own emotions. You have to manage your emotions and not the other individual's emotions. And if you have children involved, again, you have to manage your emotions, right? Illness, we have to deal with isolation and understanding. Death, it's tough to talk about because it's final. Sex, because there's a degree of risk. Natural disasters are complex. So with divorce, the key word I got there was managing, right? Managing our emotions. How do we do that? I don't know. Maybe we can figure it out. I have no idea. Illness, isolation, and understanding. Um, actually, let's go back for a second. Let's rewind. Divorce. With managing your emotions, it can be tough because of your own background, your cultural beliefs, and your religious values. So, those play a part in managing your emotions. With illness, it's because we get, when we find out we have an illness, we get this deep feeling of inner isolation where we think nobody else understands what we are going through or what we are feeling. And the only people we feel that can understand us are those who have the same illness and who have already been through it. With death, it's more or less acceptance. But what people don't accept is that death is also a part of life. With sex, the degree of risk, I got the keyword involvement. It's because we feel vulnerable. We feel vulnerable and we feel vulnerable to three things: to judgment, to criticism, and to rejection. I don't know. Is that true with adolescence? I don't know. Is that true with adulthood? Is that true just being a human being? Natural disasters. Natural disasters feel complex and uncomfortable because they're controlled by a chaotic system. So, a chaotic system is when every element influences another element and it all happens at once. So, it's hard to manage it, right? And that's when our emotions start going crazy. Um, I did write down some notes as far as like, I feel it's safe to say that we can't really predict any of these top 5 topics. If you can predict divorce, why would you get married? If you can predict illness, you wouldn't get sick. If you can predict death, you wouldn't die. If you can predict sexual relations with people, you wouldn't feel as vulnerable, especially when it comes to rejection, right? And then if you could predict natural disasters, then we wouldn't have them. And some of the natural disasters I wrote down were hurricanes, tornadoes, typhoons, volcanic eruptions, and earthquakes. You know, there's so much more that we can probably like break this down into even more. But for tonight's topic, that's what I came up with. What are the top 5 tough topics to discuss with humans? I mean, have you ever had these tough conversations with animals? Maybe you do. Maybe you talk to your animals. I talk to my animal all the time. I feel that my animals have feelings and they can think. And sometimes I think they're reincarnated. But why is it just the human species that we have a tough time talking about these subjects? This is why we're on Sip and Think. So I chose my trapped ruby with the black trim tonight. My lipstick. Yes, that's your stone of divine creativity trapped in the web of life, or the web of lies, or the World Wide Web. And then I figured, as far as cards tonight, because we were talking about the top 5 tough subjects or topics to talk about, I pulled out the impact cards. So with impact cards, we have reflections, we have affirmations, and we have actions. So I figure, let's try to pull some of these and see if we can relate it to our topics tonight. So let's go with reflection. What's something you learned about yourself in the last 3 months? Okay, so in the last 3 months, I had to focus on health benefits. I had to figure out what I could afford based on what we needed. My husband has a critical illness, he has cancer, right? And trying to figure out what covers it. So, what I've learned in the last 3 months is that no matter how much insurance you have, it does not cover everything. It really doesn't. You can have the best insurance there is out there, and it's not going to cover something, okay? Um, as far as feeling as though other people understand, although my husband is going through it, he knows I don't understand exactly what it's like for him to not have his voice anymore. I do not know what it's like to have cancer. I do not know what it's like to continually get checked on, to have continuing surgeries. I have no idea what that is like. However, he also does not understand what it's like for me as the caregiver and the caretaker to manage all of his care and pay for it all. Like, it's like a full-time job. Like, it really, really is. Um, and there's many different forms of cancer. And there are a lot of people that I know and I'm related to, or that I'm friends with, that have some form of cancer, and it's different from what my husband is going through. Can we relate to one another? Even though I'm a caretaker, I can listen and I can relate to the multiple appointments. Um, we lost a friend a couple months ago to cancer, and I didn't know how to comfort her loved ones, because here we were fighting the good fight, and yet my husband is still here, you know? So, as far as reflections, I was reflecting on the illness portion of it. I could bring that to the death portion of it, where I question, why did she die and why didn't my husband die? But again, I know that death is a part of life, and we all have a day. When we're born, we're all given a day, right? But I don't know when my day is. I don't know when my husband's day is. But I try to make the most of the dash that's in between. And believe me, every day can be chaotic, just like these natural disasters. Because imagine if your day is already chaotic and you're already dealing with an illness or people dying naturally or because of an illness, or your kids are going through the whole sex scene and becoming vulnerable and learning about rejection um, and divorce when parents don't get along. I'm not with my kid's father. That was a horrible separation. But one thing we did was we made sure we were going to both be in our children's lives, and work co-parent together. However, it's not easy and it can feel chaotic. But imagine if 4 out of the 5 toughest topics are going on in your life daily, and then you add in a natural disaster. Just imagine that. Maybe you don't want to imagine it. The problem with a natural disaster is we don't know when that's going to happen. We really don't. Just like we don't know when death's going to happen or when an illness is going to happen. So it's almost like the icing on the cake. Actions from our impact deck. Refresh your social media feed to escape your echo chamber and increase your mix of viewpoints. Okay, so maybe I'm refreshing my social media by trying to come up with topics to discuss about and relate with my cards. Maybe having these subjects and these discussions will increase a mix of viewpoints because I'm sure people have multiple viewpoints on these 5 tough topics. Please understand, I don't know everything. I'm just going by what the topic is and the cards that we're picking, and I'm trying to relate it or understand it. Affirmations from our impact deck. Whatever room I walk into, I change the atmosphere in a positive way. Well, my video from the other night was about maintaining positivity, balance, and mental health. So if you get a chance, you might want to take a look at it and give me your input, your point of view, because I'm sure it might be a little different than mine. But I hope that when I come into the room or when I come into this live, that the atmosphere changes to a positive one. Although these are tough topics to be discussing. I guess if you're going to talk about tough topics, you're going to have to be as positive as you can about them. But again, we have to remember that there are certain subjects that we have to accept. All right. Then I'm going to do my drive. Raise your words, not your voice. As you can tell, my voice is a little rough because I'm still healing from not feeling well. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. So this card would probably fall under natural disasters, especially if we're talking about rain and thunder and the weather, right? Raise your words, not your voice. So should I talk calmly? Should I whisper? It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. Well, because rain is water, which is food and nutrient. So whatever seeds you've planted, raise your words on them. Water them. Water those seeds. Listen, bitch. Don't hold back the tears. Let them flow like a fucking faucet. So with these top 5 tough topics, you're going to cry. If you can go through each one of these topics with an experience that you have had, can you truly tell me that you haven't cried? I mean, look at the grieving process. Divorce, you pretty much go through a grieving process. Illness, you go through a grieving process. Death, you go through a grieving process. Sex, I don't know. Do you go through a grieving process? I mean, if you have sex for the first time, that's a change in you. If you meet somebody new and have sex with them, maybe that's a whole new process. But to start something new, something has to end. So there is a process, right? Natural disasters. I'm pretty sure that people have cried from natural disasters. They've lost homes, they've lost people they love. You know, the area around them has changed. So is it safe to say that change also comes with a grieving process? Even though change is good. But in order for something to change, something has to end. So what's that process in between the end and the beginning? Is that the grieving process? And if it is, it's okay to cry. This has a picture of a feather on it. Listen, bitch. Sometimes even the strongest people need some uplifting. Use these 50 affirmation cards to remind you of what you're capable of and the love that you fucking deserve. Read them slowly, repeat them out loud, and then carry on like the legend that you are. And here we are with another flower. Listen, bitch. Choose you every time. Looks like mushrooms. Even the strongest people need some uplifting. Of course we do. Because even the strongest people go through these top 5 tough topics. And it's okay to cry. It's kind of healing. When I look at these, it's kind of healing. I think crying in rain, it's healing. All right, so now I'm going to do my relationship affirmators. Reliability. I am reliable. When I say I'll do something, I take whatever that something is seriously. This applies to all commitments, even the ones that may have seemed small and slow down, Sherry. Insignificant to a less reliable me. From now on, flaking is just for dandruff commercials and cereal factories. We had this in one of my previous videos as well. But I noticed there's a time clock, right? And we were talking about life and death and the dash in between. So, what you do with that time, right? If we look at death, death is final. So, you're out of time. And I'll say it again, like I said it before. Time is your most valuable asset. I had this one yesterday. Maybe I need to shuffle again, but we'll do it. Thoughtfulness. It's time to put your money where your mouth is and have fun showing your love. Think of all the little things you can do to show a person you love them. Then stop thinking of those things and actually do them. Is it time to hide a note in someone's pocket, make them a snack, order them a book? Anything thoughtful can be an act of love, even taking the trash out to the dumpster, unless you're dating the trash, in which case, don't take it to the dumpster, take it somewhere fancy. Wow. Who would have thought that being so full of thoughts could be considered thoughtful? Maybe we need to be more thoughtful when we're dealing with these tough topics. And the little things can add up. Love and compassion is how we show them that we can sympathize, not just empathize, but sympathize as well. I'm going to shuffle again because I did shuffle these beforehand for why we got those again. Maybe it's just because we're dealing with these topics again. But time, reliability, you find that in divorce, illness, death, sex, and natural disasters. Wonder why sex has this negativity towards judgment, criticism, and rejection. I wonder why that is. If it's so negative, why do we do it? Because it feels so good. I believe that judgment, criticism, and rejection with feeling vulnerable also comes back to how we think of ourselves. And I also believe that just like in a divorce, it's based on your background, your cultural beliefs, and your religious values. Giving. I welcome the idea of give and take in my relationships, and I eagerly practice the give part by giving freely. I discover just how fun giving really is. Giving my time, care, and attention to someone else actually gives me good feelings, which makes me want to give even more. Wait a second. Does this selflessness make me look selfish? Be honest. She's looking at herself in the mirror. So when I read this card on giving, I went to illness in giving my time and care and attention to someone who needs it. I went to divorce because it's stating that you give and take in relationships. So with divorce, are we giving and taking in the relationship? Or is there a lack of? When someone passes away, we give our time and care and attention to those who are mourning. Obviously, with sex, we're giving and taking. Integrity. I align with the center of myself, a glowing core of personal integrity. Emanating from this core is the knowledge that I never have to compromise who I am or what I want for anybody. I can live a life that doesn't include settling, unless I want to settle, in which case, settling would be my idea of perfection and would cease to be considered settling. Paradoxes hurt. So, with this card, my first thought went to I choose me every time. It says choose you every time, but in the conversation. I also went to divorce. It's stating here that I never have to compromise who I am or what I want for anybody. Well, maybe you should think about that before you get married, and then you wouldn't have to get a divorce. It says, unless I want to settle, in which case settling would be my idea of perfection. So that means getting married, right? Home is where the heart is. Curiosity. Meeting new people. I remember what a treasure trove of opinions, interests, and stories they are. But these treasures will only be unlocked if I embrace my curiosity. So I'll be curious and you be interesting. Deal? It's a treasure chest and a key. And they're trying to work together or come up with a way to work together. So if I had to take this card and put it in a category, I would put it in sex and I would put it in divorce. I would put it in illness. I would even put it in death. Why? Because you want to come up with a deal, right? If you had to write a will or a power of attorney, don't you sit down and talk with the individual or the individuals that are going to be making the decisions or executing your will and your power of attorney? So you want to make sure that you're both on lock and key, right? Meeting new people is part of illness because you would have never met certain people if it hadn't have been for your illness. Meaning, if we feel that the only other people who understand what we're going through will understand us, I have to take myself out of what I'm in to meet these other people so that I can feel understood. So you meet new people through it, right? Curiosity. I don't know if it would be under natural disasters. I mean, it could be because people are always curious as to what happened, why it happened, and could it happen again? Hmm. Meeting new people, I remember what a treasure trove of opinions, interests, and stories they are. But these treasures will only be unlocked if I embrace my curiosity. So I'll be curious and you be interesting. Stimulating our brain. All right, so now we'll go to, nope, I'm putting that one back because it said ups and downs again. I gotta shuffle these. I don't want to do the balance beam again. Like a teeter-totter. Hmm. Believe me, these are tough topics to talk about. And I don't want to make people sad. Maybe it's chaotic. Perseverance. It seems you're on a massive journey right now, and this card has arrived to remind you that you will reach the other side. Okay, so if we die, hopefully we'll reach the other side. The mountain you're climbing is huge and formidable, but so is your ability to climb it. You don't need to enjoy it, you just need to tackle it. Complain if it makes the job easier, blow off steam. You think mountain climbers get to the top of You think mountain climbers get to the top of Everest on inspirational quotes? No way, they're grunting and crying, 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 and cursing like freaking pirates. This just doesn't sell a lot of posters. So don't hold back those tears because they're going to help you with your perseverance. And those tears are your rain to help your flowers grow. Good things to come. There are so many amazing gifts coming my way. I can't see them now because I respect the general convention of not peeking under wrapping paper. But they will show up when the time is just right. And that's when I'll remember how much fun it is to be surprised. Well, it's the holiday season. I was talking about the car. We were talking about time, reliability, right? Is this gift a treasure? Giving makes me happy. Is it thoughtful? Even the strongest people need some uplifting. So, with good things to come, believe me, We're talking about tough subjects and topics. What's the good in them? What's the good that can come from them? Hmm? See, because we know death is final. We accept that. It's a part of life, right? But again, what do we do with the time that we have? Part of my reason for coming up with these topics tonight is that December and the beginning of January, although we put it out there that, it's a great time of year, it's a beautiful, magical, spiritual time of year, a lot of death happens in December and January. When we talk about out with the old, in with the new, we have people that lose loved ones around the holidays, and sometimes they like to isolate themselves during that time, not because they don't want to be around people and have fun, but because they reminisce and they think about everything that has changed in their lives. And they possibly could still be grieving. Inspiration. There is a voice of inspiration within me. Right now, it's only a whisper, but the more I listen, the louder it will get. Soon it will be a flawless speech voiced by James Earl Jones through a megaphone with lots of applause. Basically, Sherry, just keep going. Keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep remaining curious. You don't have to yell and lose your voice like you are right now. You can read slowly. You can repeat them out loud. Carry on like the legend that you are. Raise your words. Stay curious. Love. Love is a many splendored thing. Today, I will notice and appreciate at least 3 of those splendors. Like the fact that puppies make me feel like a parent, or the surge of self congratulation when I feel, uh, or the surge of self congratulation I feel when I sink a 3-point trash basket shot on the first try. Or how about the chills I get while singing along to Name Your Own Tune, Name Your Own Song, added into the blank. We were talking about animals earlier. Thoughtfulness. Put your money where your mouth is and have fun showing your love. Where's my trash one? giving. Oh, thoughtfulness has my trash in it. Take it out to a fancy restaurant. Um, Anything thoughtful can be an act of love. So thoughtfulness and love went together. But pick a song. Or how about the chills I get while singing along to? It's a blank line and it says name of song, you know the one. So whatever song comes to mind, I'll reread it and then think about a song that instantly comes to mind. If it doesn't instantly come to mind, maybe think about it. Love is many splendid things. Today, I will notice and appreciate at least three of those splendors. Like the fact that puppies make me feel like a parent, or the surge of self congratulation I feel when I sink a 3 point trash basket shot on the first try. Or how about the chills I get while singing along to name that song? And I use thoughtfulness to go with this card, which I'll read again. It's time to put your money where your mouth is and have fun showing your love. Think of all the little things you can do to show a person you love them. Then stop thinking of those things and actually do them. Is it time to hide a note in someone's pocket, make them a snack, order them a book? Anything thoughtful can be an act of love, even taking the trash out to the dumpster. Unless you're dating the trash, in which case, don't take it to the dumpster, take it somewhere fancy. Wow, who would have thought that being so full of thoughts could be considered thoughtful? And then from there, we focus on good things to come. There are so many amazing gifts coming my way. I can't see them now because I respect the general convention of not peeking under wrapping paper, but they will show up when the time is just right. And that's when I'll remember how much fun it is to be surprised. Reliability, time. I am reliable. When I say I'll do something, I take whatever that something is seriously. This applies to all commitments, even the ones that may have seemed small and insignificant to a less reliable me. From now on, flaking is just for dandruff commercials and cereal factories. So I welcome the idea of give and take in my relationships, and I eagerly practice and give part. By giving freely, I discover just how fun giving really is. Giving my time, care, and attention to someone else actually gives me good feelings, which makes me want to give even more. Wait a second. Does this selflessness make me look selfish? Be honest. So you have to have curiosity to welcome new ideas of give and take in a relationship because curiosity is meeting new people. I remember what a treasure trove of opinions, interests, and stories they are. But these treasures will only be unlocked if I embrace my curiosity. So I'll be curious and you be interesting. Deal? If you're interesting, you have inspiration. There is a voice of inspiration within me. Right now, it's only a whisper, but the more I listen, the louder it will get. Soon it will be a flawless speech voiced by James Earl Jones through a megaphone with lots of applause. You can persevere with that inspiration. You can raise your words, not your voice, because your inspiration is within you. Your voice of inspiration is within you, so you can whisper. And the more you listen, the louder your inspiration will come. And that inspiration is your rain that will grow your flowers or your ideas. Because the thunder represented in this is the loud voice that you don't need to have. But you do need to read them slowly and repeat them out loud. Repeating them out loud and being loud are two different things. Don't hold back those raindrops, those tears. Let it flow from you naturally like a faucet. Always choose you. And align the center of yourself, a glowing core of personal integrity. Emanating from this core is the knowledge that I never have to compromise who I am or what I want. For anybody, I can live a life that doesn't include settling unless I want to settle. So the choice is yours when you choose you every time. So I hope this was interesting for you tonight. I hope I didn't make you sad or anything. And, think about these top 5 tough topics and think about, you know, how the holidays affect you. I'm sure some of you can relate to those who are looking for someone to understand where they're coming from. Enjoy your weekend.